He's running for the State House of Representatives here, District 89 here in Michigan. And Patrick Kapenga is with us right now. And he's Patrick, good morning. How are you?
Dude, how's it going?
Hey, welcome in, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And Justin, I just want to say your journalism is absolutely amazing. It's an example to our country in journalism. I wish there were more people like you. So thank you.
Well, thank you, Patrick. Hey, just to make
Yeah.
sure, I want to make sure I dot all the I's and cross the T's. How do I pronounce your last name correctly?
Kapenga.
That's what I thought. But I got,
Yeah.
I
Of course, you
want to
had
make
it
sure
right.
I ask. Yeah,
You had it right.
absolutely.
You know what you're doing.
I got there's a good friend of ours that's been on this program before that's even given him an endorsement. So that's encouraging. But we know how important this year is. And we just talked about that earlier. We'll put a little bit more of a highlight on it. But good morning. Welcome in, Patrick. And you are endorsed by our good friend, Luke Meerman.
Yeah. Luke and I worked together years ago. When Luke first got into office, I was on the board of directors for a foster care agency, and the state was going to try to make boys and girls share bathrooms in our residential centers, which is where our most traumatized kids go. And Luke asked me if I would help him put a stop to that. So we worked together on that, and that did not go through, thankfully. And back then, he said, "Patrick, you need to run for office someday." So, so
Mhm.
here I am. He called me about a year ago and asked if I would if I would start thinking about it and praying about stepping up to run for a seat.
I always say you either have to be crazy or called to run for office. So tell us your background and where that came from with you.
Yeah, so I'm a fifth generation entrepreneur in West Michigan. I grew up on a farm on the north side of Holland. Uh, some of your listeners might remember my grandpa. Well, my great grandpa built the Beechwood Inn. My grandpa owned the Warm Friend Hotel and had Little Jack's Hamburgs in I think it was the 1950s, 9-cent Hamburgs in Holland. And then they started with my mom and my uncles. They started Holland Special Delivery, expediting company here in Hudsonville.
So as an entrepreneur, and we've seen this kind of story before, folks who are running businesses tend to have a little bit of a no nonsense approach to things. And one of the things I've noticed in your platform really is coming for that waste, fraud, and abuse, and cutting those areas where we are just bleeding money right now.
Yeah. What we need outside auditors to come into the state and audit our bureaucracies. In the business world, we you can let people audit themselves, but if there's any question at all, you have to bring in outside auditors. And unfortunately, and Justin, you've talked about this, our our community has lost so much faith and trust in our government system. We have to restore that, and the only way to do that is through transparency.
How do we get there? Because I know, I mean, I feel the same way. But what does that look like, and how do we incentivize it, or how do we make it so that you have to be transparent? Because we can say it all day and I know you probably mean it, but there's a lot of people that throw that around.
And we've got to have outside auditors come in and do those audits on the different departments. We have to have accountability for the government. There's a joke. Um, I once heard a bureaucrat make this joke. She said, the joke is if you don't like your job and you're not good at it, to get out of the private sector and go work for the state because you'll never get fired.
Mm.
Um, it's not just a joke; it's true, and that's got to change. So it's going to take a long time, but we have to take the first step, and we just don't seem to want to take that first step. And one of the reasons I think that the conservatives have not made as much headway in our agenda as the left has in theirs is because since the 1960s, they took one small step after another small step
Hmm.
their direction, and we have not done that. And there's a reason, in my opinion, that we've not done that. But that's what we need to change, and we need to start those small steps.
We're talking right now with Patrick Kapenga, who's running for District 89 state house here as an entrepreneur who's fed up, had enough, and says, "Look, it's time to make these changes in Lansing." I think, and maybe you could weigh in on this too. We've kind of been talking around this, but I think this election, for Michigan particularly. In fact, we just had this story today. I think it's in the Midwesterner report, but the story is about how far we've fallen again. Whitmer's Michigan slips to 34th in annual child well-being ranking. Reading, math proficiency remain 10% below pre-pandemic levels. I think our ranking, the overall ranking, is the worst in the Midwest. So when I say this, I mean it. It's not just about us and right now, but it's about the future. It's about our kids. The importance of this election here in 2026 in our state, I think, is on par with what nationally we were looking at in 2024, maybe even more so. We get to decide right now whether we want to go back and stick with the last nearly a decade of how the Democrats have run the state into the ground, or whether or not we want to turn things around and get back on track here in Michigan. It's critical.
Yep, agreed. Yeah, and that starts by putting the right leaders into leadership. And I don't think there are some lessons from the business world that I think we need to learn in the conservative movement. Can I go into one of those?
Absolutely.
All right. Um, One of the things that we know in the business world is that great salespeople don't always make great sales managers. In the same way, great conservatives, people who know and understand our values, people who can articulate them, don't always make great leaders in the conservative movement. And the way you know, thousands of books have been written about this in the business world, John Maxwell, Jim Collins. It also happens to be in the Bible from Genesis to Revelation. And I love taking people through this sometimes. But when you put someone into leadership and they have those gifts and skills to lead, they will take a group of people, they will unite them. Those people will not agree on everything, but they will have different gifts, and you get as many people as you can with as many different skill sets as you can. You get them united, you give them a vision, and you get them moving in the right direction to accomplish the agenda. In this case, it's our conservative agenda and our conservative values. If you put a person into leadership and they don't have those gifts and that skill set, even though they're great people, they can articulate and they're wonderful and they're necessary. But if they don't have the leadership skill set, you will always end up with a group of people that do not advance the conservative agenda as well as they could. You will end up with infighting. You will end up with people destroying relationships over disagreements. And this is why I watch Maria Bartiromo for about 30 minutes every day on Fox Business, and she is constantly asking the question, why can't conservatives or Republicans get together? And it's, in my opinion, from my business perspective, it's because we don't understand this principle of leadership. And sometimes we put people into those leadership positions that are great people. We need them, but we put them in a position where they don't have the skill set, and we don't understand why. We don't understand what's happening. So, and I think that just keeps happening, and that's what we need to change. That's one of the many things we need to change.
I often agree. I think it's a person. There's a personality difference in some ways with folks, and I think on the right, it's kind of like we are herding cats. It's really hard because we all have our own way of doing things and thinking about things. And on the left, boy, they just get into lockstep with each other, and that's the really dangerous part. We've got to fight, and we've got to fight not with each other but together to make sure that we not only defeat what has been done here in Michigan, but also get us back on track, and we got to start thinking about what makes this state great and what will continue to allow it to thrive throughout the coming years. Now, I know people are going to want
Yes.
to get and
Hey,
talk to you.
can I just say one thing?
Mhm.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. But that's the challenge we face in business every day. So the challenge that you just laid out is the challenge we have in the conservative movement, but that is the challenge business leaders face in the business place every single day, and that we have to overcome. And I have 30 years experience of making mistakes and learning from them and surrounding myself with people way smarter than myself and helping me understand how to do this. So anyway, sorry.
There you have it, Patrick. Thank you so much for coming on. I know you're going to be making the rounds, talking to people, asking what they need done and what they think is the most critical piece of all of this. Where's the best place people can connect with you, either online or in person, and have those conversations?
Yeah, Kapenga for Michigan. You had the website up just a minute ago. Go there, and I'll tell you, I have. If I don't see you at your door, and we're out almost every single day, but I have had many people. In fact, last week I had a pastor of a church. He put his phone number in there. He said, "I'd like to talk to you about some specific issues that are a concern to our congregation." And I made the phone call, and I have done that many times. Um, so
Yeah.
yeah, feel free to do that.
Patrick Kapenga is running in the 89th district for state rep, and if you want to ask questions or get in online there, Kapenga for the number 4 Michigan.com. Thank you for taking the time. We'll have you come back at some point. I know, look, there's not a lot of time between now and August, but I know you're working hard and, obviously trying to get out there and have those conversations with people. And we get a moment to have you back, we will.
Thanks. Appreciate it, man. Love being on your
Absolutely.
show.
Hey, congratulations. Good luck. And my pleasure. Keep up the good fight. We continue